Hello, my friend. This is Clyde. Choose the right way. I sincerely thought I had nothing more to say about the Paris Olympics, but this one, it triggered me to produce this message. For those of you who watched the closing ceremony, you would remember a few things like the actor Tom Cruise swinging from the top of the Stade de France via a cable, the rich music of some of France's top musicians, the passing of the Olympic flag to the mayor of Los Angeles, the home of the 2028 Olympics, and the grand rendition of the classic My Way by the French singer model Yusol. What is so special about that song? This song was made popular by Frank Sinatra in 1969 and has become a great classic of postmodern doctrine of self-reliance, individuality, and living one's life on one's own terms. What an appropriate song to end this year's Olympics, which saw Paris doing some significantly different things related to Olympics tradition, doing it their way from the opening ceremony to special golden boxes presented to medalists and the ringing of the golden bell inside the stadium by winners of track and field events. But let us get to the issue that I want us to consider. The song we're talking about is not religious by any means, but it strikes a note of content by a man who has reached the end of his life and looked back on the highs, the successes, and a few regrets, and concluded that he lived his life just the way he chose, including taking the blows life sent his way, and still, I did it my way. That sounds like a man who is exiting the stage of life having performed like a master, one who did not have a perfect life but is quite pleased that he marched to the beat of his own drums. He has taken ownership of decisions and experiences and celebrates the end of life with the grand admission, I did it my way. Imagine going to a funeral service and hear those words recited by a friend of the deceased and who stated that these were the words of my friend who has recently passed away. I listened to the song as it was sung at the closing ceremony. A wonderful song. But it caused me to wonder if anyone who sings that song realizes that there is something inherently problematic with the last line. For let me say something to two different persons. If you're a young person, you might want to hear what the preacher has to say. Firstly, the opening verse of Ecclesiastes 12 says, remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come and the years approach when you will say, I find no pleasure in them. What is the writer saying to the young man he is conversing with? He undoubtedly is saying, youth is on your side. You can live your life by doing it my way, but with a caution. You have to contend with the Creator now, the one who made you and gave you life. There is wisdom in finding a way to not just have a cursory acknowledgement of this infinite Creator, but to establish a relationship with the Creator. And do so before you get older and life starts to get more problematic. Later on, the writer concludes his sober soliloquy to the young man. Now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil. Ecclesiastes 12, verses 13 and 14. The preacher might have started off by presenting a possible option of how to live your life, but there was no note to compel you to acknowledge the Creator, just a suggestion. As a youth, live your life as you will. Be able to say long before you get to a ripe old age and say it proudly, I am doing life my way. I make my own decisions. I take ownership of my actions. I'm following my playbook. You are entitled to do life my way. But he could not go out without clearing the air by saying to you, you need to listen to this advice. Do not ignore God. Don't you for one moment think that God is obsolete and you are the captain of your own ship, because someday you will face God, and he is not a fictional character. He is not a gentle old man who lives in the sky and will give you a medal for what? Because you did it your way? God has the last say. And at the end of life, he is that judge you will face, and he will judge all your actions to see whether you lived a godly life or you simply did it my way. The second person who he's talking to, who listens to the song, is a person who has lived a long life. And during that time, you became the poster child of this song under consideration. The end of life can be circumstantial. It can be the culmination of great experiences, a few missteps here and there, but overall you would have lived a good life, a life that many would have loved to have a fraction of to make them have a good life. You're closer to death than ever before. You're slowing down, but you have no regrets about the life you lived. Well, what does the preacher have to say to you? Just as people are destined to die once and after that to face the judgment. Hebrews 10 verse 27. Did he just bring up the issue of death? Yes, he did. You might have lived such a great life that you genuinely say that you're not afraid to die because you had a good life here on earth. You might say, everything did not go my way, the way I wanted it, but I'm going out with little or no regrets. There's no need to worry about life beyond death. When a man dies, he's dead. I can go out with the satisfaction that I did it my way. Hold it right there, Buster. Did you hear what the preacher say? After death, there is a judgment. What are you talking about? Death means the end of life. So what kind of judgment comes after death? Ridiculous. That is the big point I want to make. Remember what he said to the youth? Those words are even more applicable to you, the elderly man who's had a great life. The judge will be God, the one you hardly acknowledged while you were alive and doing it my way. Well, this same God will now be the judge for the whole universe. But here's the critical outcome. If you did not acknowledge God in your life before you died, then the judgment for you will be that God will sentence you to an eternity of torment in hell because you choose not to acknowledge him. You remember you chose to not honor him. Well, now you will be in need of some help from some nice person in heaven, but sadly, it doesn't work like that. Once you pass through the door from the earth realm where we see each other, once you die, there's no turning back. The secret of this judgment is that God will have the last word, whether you get sent to an eternity in hell, and that is a forever reality. Today, I stopped by to say to you, before you start singing, I did it my way, you might want to stop and invite Jesus into your life and make sure when you come to the end of your life, you will not fear, you will not fret because you have been born again, because you chose the right way.